My wife works for a company that has a very famous mascot. I bet that there are some people who know the mascot and couldn't tell you what the company does. Every year for Christmas, and randomly at other times, they send all the employees a little stuffed duck. It's a point of pride for people to display their collection of ducks. You can tell how long someone's been with the company by how many ducks they have. It's a fun morale booster. With the two she got this year, their ranks have expanded beyond the place where they had been, so she asked me to make her a shelf to keep all of her ducks in a row. I decided to make it from plywood. I knew I was going to paint it, so it didn't need to be hardwood. Using 1-inch pine would have looked chunkier than I want. I didn't want something too delicate either. Sturdy, but not imposing. Cute enough for stuffed ducks. My local hardwood dealer doesn't stock 2-quarter poplar, so I settled on 12mm ply. I could have run pine through a thicknessing planer, but I don't have one. I tend to be pretty good about safety, especially with the table saw. I always wear earplugs and a dust mask when sawing, and a respirator when working with paints and solvents. I'm less good about keeping the blade guard on the table saw. If I know I'm going to be doing non-through cuts, I just go with the riving knife, mostly out of sheer laziness. I'd like to be better about it, but old habits die hard. I am good about using the push block or push sticks, usually. When it comes to cutting rabbets, I like to intentionally start small and creep up on the perfect fit. I don't know why this ply was so warped. It made glue up harder than necessary. I need more clamps. Should I get the parallel action clamps or bar clamps? I don't know. For Christmas, I asked for a new jigsaw, since my old one is nearly 30 years old. I love retro computers, but retro tools can get a bit sketch if they've got sharp, pointy bits. And once they've tasted blood, you can never really trust them again. The old one worked, but even with fresh blades, it made a right mess of plywood. Tear out. Ragged edges that really can't be sanded into shape make any project look bad. So, I got a new jigsaw. What better way to break it in than with a nice project? What better shape to cut than a duck? She drew a duck shape I liked, and the new jigsaw worked a treat. I could have cut a template and dialed it in perfectly and then used a flush trim router bit to transfer it to my final piece, but that's just not the farm boy way. No one will notice that not all of the edges are perfectly square to the front. They'll notice the cute duck. Assembly was quick and easy, just 3 parts: the bottom, the front, and the duck for the back. I cut some rabbits, or rebates in the rest of the world, and figured out a way to clamp it all up. I've been seeing these videos on MFTs, and I had no idea what that was. Turns out it means multi-function table, which I take to mean sort of a second workbench with dog holes and other work holding. Maybe that's what I ought to build for my bench. I put a coat of primer on it, and then 2 coats of white latex, left over from other projects. It looks like something you'd find at Pottery Barn, which isn't a bad thing in my mind. It matches the rest of the decor in her office. I've been thinking about making a bunch of these in various designs. I could probably make a dozen in a day if I built jigs and templates. I've got a pneumatic brad nailer that I never use because it requires turning on the air compressor. That would make glue up much easier. I could get a paint sprayer and make painting them quick. There's a place just around the corner where people sell their crafts. Maybe I could rent a stall there and try to sell cute shelves and frames. It'll probably cost more for the stall than I'll make in selling the shelves, though. I don't know how I feel about turning a hobby into a business. If it stays a hobby but helps me pay for itself, that's one thing. It's something to think about. I'm pleased with how this turned out. I'm sure in a year or two I'll need to add another shelf onto it for the next round of ducks.